So, we are finally at the last stretch of the booster of this year with DC BTO6, which does have a lot of very familiar units returning with things like Glory, Vermilion the Blood, Kronos Command, Concept Messiah, and then we have a return of Masque. And the first Masque that they decided to show off was the one that I think a lot of people did not expect, but is it really a deserved one?
Cringe.
Well, today I'm gonna be talking about Solrairon, Masque in particular, and whether is he actually Masque engine or not, as I think we have to go back to the past a little bit and talk about the problem with Masque engine, the problem with Solrairon, and why I personally think it doesn't work. Okay, so let's start off with Solrairon first as a deck, and the deck main mechanic is essentially using Solrairon's skill to guess whether it is a normal unit or a trigger unit at the top of your deck, and if it is correct, you get a huge buff, and every single Solrairon support gain additional skill as well, with cards like Storm the Right Line gets an additional counter charge, Lectures, counter charge and draw, and even one of, in my opinion, the most powerful card in the Solrairon deck is able to get additional power and essentially move himself to soul, where you can essentially help to set up with units from your drop. The problem with Solrairon though, it kind of boils down to the fact that not only you do need a specific key piece to be on the field, you need to clear the threshold of declaring the normal unit on top of your deck for Solrairon skill. Not just any cards, it has to be normal unit, because all of the other cards in Solrairon arsenal force you to do so. And this support came very late. In fact, it came during the Wines era. That means that Solrairon, unlike his counterpart Gantiva, was the absolute dog shit. Like, that is 100% no deny. And the support that he received before the Wines were really bad as well. However, I do have to say, with the release of I do think the deck is in a relatively good spot, as you can just rely on other heater generics to actually help the Solrairon to gain advantage, and chose not to run Solrairon right line completely, and the deck is in the pretty damn good state and also can consistently go into 5 attack as well, provided you manage to have all the pieces that you need. So, does the Masque form actually helps? Well, before we get to talk about Solrairon Masque, we have to talk about Masque as well. Masque mechanic does have some good advantage, and that is the fact that you essentially have a Persona ride one turn earlier, and in general you have a very positive experience, which is something that Solrairon does need in the past. However, the Masque engine has some of the most deep cores that I feel a lot of people don't realize it, but you do now if you decided to build a deck space. You see, to make the Masque engine actually consistent, you are sacrificing roughly 1/3 of your deck to actually make it work. And this statement holds even more true if your deck requires Dragon Tree markers. What happens if we are putting two of, in my opinion, the most problematic boss unit and one of the most problematic generic engine and put it together? We have Great Stage of Skull Solrairon Masque. This unit has 4 different skills. The first one is the typical Masque restriction, where it cannot be written from the grade 3 card with Solrairon in its name. Essentially, it cannot be put in the right deck. Then this unit has 2 additional X skill, where Energy Blast 3, you can reveal a normal unit from your hand, draw a card, and put a card reveal for the cost to the top of your deck. And then act once per turn, remove Solrairon with different card name from this unit from hand, so or drop the typical Masque negate yourself skill. Declare either normal or trigger unit. Reveal the top card of your deck. If your reveal card is the card type you declared, this unit get, when a unit placed by this unit ability attack this turn, until end of that battle, increase or decrease that unit drive to 1 and perform drive check until end of turn. Do note this additional skill only triggers once per turn. And then auto, when this unit attack Vanguard, counter blast 1, look at top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to the number of same card as a number of your Dragon Tree markers from among them, call them to Raycard circle, and put the rest on top of the bottom of your deck in any order.
Wait a minute!
So there is definitely a few pluses on Solrairon Masque here, but I do have to say, things that he did sacrifice, I don't think it's worth it. You see, yes, he does have ability to guarantee the top card of your deck now on demand, because you know it's on the Vanguard, and then you have a skill that allow you to essentially get additional drive, which is pretty damn strong. And I haven't even started talking about the fact that you can essentially just call 2 cards with Solrairon skill on this zone now, as long as you have Dragon Tree markers.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Yeah, that's a problem. Of all things they decided to give to Solrairon, they decided to give it such that you are kind of reliant on Dragon Tree markers to make it works. This means that the mass ratio in your deck, if you want to run Solrairon Masque, is increased considerably. Yes, all the benefit that we have received from Solrairon Masque is actually pretty damn strong, but the fact that you rely on Dragon Tree markers and did not get any more powers from the original Solrairon means that Solrairon Masque generally hits softer in exchange for just that one drive. I'm not sure is it worth it or not, but based on my testing, the answer to that question is unfortunately
No. No!
And the only redeeming factor of Masque, at least just as the engine right now, is a brand new, possibly generic Masque unit that use energy. As we have Dragon Tree Rage Pesca's Day Shot. This unit has 2 skills where when placed on Raycard Circle, you can energy blast 3, search your deck for up to 1 Masque of Hydragum, review it, put it into your hand and shuffle the deck. Then act on Raycard, counterblast 1, bind this unit, choose one of your Raycard without any Dragon Tree marker on it and put the Dragon Tree marker on it. Then look at top 7 card of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Masque or Grifogilla in its name, review it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. But when you would look at the deck by this ability and your bind zone has 1 or less card with the same card name as this card, you can look at the entire deck instead of 7 cards.
It's amazing!
So just to make things clear, if you're using Pekka's Disha skill for the first time, for the second skill, you are guaranteed to get 1 Masque unit from deck to hand. But if you want to use the same skill again, you're only checking top 7 cards. And I would say this does fix one of the biggest issues with Masque engine in general, and that is the fact that the engine is so counterblast hungry. To make things work, many of the Masque units are so counterblast hungry as well. So the fact that now you have a card that uses energy, which is a resource that most of the Masque deck don't really rely on, just to guarantee a Masque for you is a really huge help. And of course, more target for Hydragum is always a plus for me. So just to conclude, I think mixing Solrairon and Masque together is a mistake because both engines have its own problem, and mixing it kind of just stack up the problem for Solrairon Masque instead. But at the same time, I'm also a little bit hopeful for Masque engine now that we have seen the skill of Pekka's Day Shot, because if they decided to give it for every single nation, that changes things, especially for one of my favorite deck, Omina Grugio. But what do you guys think? Do leave down in the comments below on what you think about Solrairon Masque and the new era of Masque unit in general. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub and become members for some cool perks. And this is Mac Mechanic signing out.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.